So, look at you, standing in the middle of a white void, shivering like a caffeinated chihuahua. Crunch, crunch. That's the sound of your boots on the Arctic permafrost, and honestly, it's probably the last thing you're ever gonna hear if you keep doing what you're doing. You thought that extreme survival weekend in the suburbs prepared you for this? Psst, please. Right now, your $500 designer jacket is about as useless as a screen door on a submarine. Welcome to the Arctic, or as I like to call it, the Great White Ego Crusher. Let's talk logic for a second, because yours is currently frozen solid. Most people think survival is about fighting a bear or eating a raw fish. Wrong. In this hellscape, survival is a game of thermodynamics. Your body is a 98.6-degree furnace, and the tundra? It's a professional thief. It wants your heat, and it's going to take it through every crack in your gear. Here is where most of you idiots get it wrong. You think, I'm cold, I should run, I need to get to that tree line. Ugh, no, stop right there. Let me tell you about a guy I knew. Let's call him Smartass Steve. Steve thought he could outrun a blizzard in the Yukon. He ran until he was huffing and puffing, soaked in sweat. He felt warm for exactly 10 minutes. You know what happened next? The sweat, that beautiful, salty liquid your body uses to cool you down, did exactly its job. It cooled him down to 0. Listen to the math, because the math doesn't care about your feelings. Water conducts heat away from the body 25 times faster than air. If you sweat in -40 degrees, you aren't just wet, you are literally wearing a suit made of ice. In the Arctic, sweat isn't just gross, it's a goddamn death sentence. Look at your hands. Are they white? Waxy? That's the ice crystals forming inside your skin cells. It's called frostbite, but let's be real. It's your body saying, I'm giving up on these fingers so I can keep your heart beating for 5 more minutes. It's a brutal trade, isn't it? So, here is the first entry in your survivor log. The ego dies first, or you do. Don't run, don't panic, and for the love of everything holy, do not get wet. You're currently at rank 1, the amateur. You're scared, you're cold, and one bad decision away from becoming a permanent frozen lawn ornament. Stick around. I might just show you how to claw your way up to rank 2, if your heart doesn't turn into a popsicle first. Still here. I'm impressed. Your heart must be more stubborn than your brain. All right, let's see what we're working with. Zip, zip, zip. Let's check those pockets. Rattle, clink. What's this? A smartphone? Oh, brilliant. Congratulations. You now own a very expensive, very frozen paperweight. In this temperature, lithium-ion batteries give up faster than a cheap New Year's resolution. And that emergency flare you're so proud of, if the wind is blowing at 40 knots, that flare is just a very pretty way to say goodbye to a world that isn't looking for you yet. You're at rank 2, the gear hoarder. Most people think survival is about having the right tools. It's not. It's about having tools you actually know how to use when your fingers are as stiff as frozen carrots. Look at that tree line over there. Hear that wind? That's not just noise. That's the sound of convective heat loss. If you stay standing in that wind, you're basically a human popsicle stick. At 0 degrees Fahrenheit, a 30-mile-per-hour wind makes it feel like -26. That's the difference between I'm chilly and my lungs are crystallizing. So, move. Now. Welcome to rank 3, the windbreaker. Your goal isn't to be warm yet. Your goal is to stop being blasted. See that snowbank? It looks cold, doesn't it? It looks like the enemy. But here's the twist. It's actually the only friend you've got left. Most amateurs try to build a fire first. Pfft, good luck lighting a match in a hurricane, genius. You need a shelter before you need a flame. This is rank 4, The snow trench. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Use your hands, use a stick, use that useless smartphone if you have to. Start digging. You want a trench about 2 feet deep and long enough to lie in. Why? Because snow is 90% trapped air. It's nature's styrofoam. Inside a snow trench, the temperature can be 20 to 30 degrees warmer than the wind-blasted surface. But don't get sloppy. I once saw a survival expert on TV build a trench so wide the wind just swirled inside and froze him to the ground by midnight. Logic check. You want it tight. You want cozy. You want just enough space for your body and a very small amount of air. Think of it as a coffin, but one that keeps you alive. Once you're in there, cover the top with branches or even more snow. Now, listen. Silence. Notice that? The howling is gone. You've just cheated the wind. You're starting to act like a survivor, but don't get cocky. You're currently in a hole in the ground, and the real white hell hasn't even started yet. Look at you, huddling in that hole like a groundhog with a midlife crisis. You've survived the wind. That's a start. But now the real fun begins, staying awake while the cold tries to whisper you to sleep. Welcome to Rank 5, the pyromaniac's nightmare. You want a fire, don't you? You can practically feel the warmth in your head, but here's the logic error that kills more weekend warriors than I can count. They try to build a campfire for a damn stadium. Listen, in a blizzard, a big fire is just a giant signal flare for the wind to come and find you. You don't need a bonfire, you need a survival candle. Chink, chink, chink. That's the sound of a ferrocerium rod. Don't use matches. Your hands are shaking too much to hold one, and the wind will spit on it before it even sparks. Here's a field note for you. Look for birch bark. Even if it's soaking wet, that stuff has betulin oil in it. It'll burn even under a goddamn waterfall. I once saw a guy try to light a giant log with a lighter for 20 minutes. 20 minutes! By the time he gave up, his thumb was blistered and he was so cold he couldn't even zip his fly. Don't be that guy. Start small. Think bird's nest. There, a tiny flame. But don't get too excited. If you're in that snow trench, remember, fire eats oxygen. If you don't vent that hole, you aren't going to wake up. You won't die of cold. You'll die of stupidity-induced carbon monoxide poisoning. Now let's talk about Rank 6, the hydration debt. You're thirsty. Your throat feels like you've been swallowing sandpaper. You look at the snow and think, hey, free water. Stop. Put that snow down. This is where the math bites you in the ass. Your body is a heat engine. To turn 1 pound of snow at 30 degrees into liquid water at 98 degrees, your body has to burn a massive amount of internal energy. Eating snow in the Arctic is like taking out a high-interest loan on your own life. You'll melt the snow, sure, but you'll drop your core temperatures so fast it'll make your head spin. I knew a guy in the Alaskan interior who thought eating snow was efficient. We found him 3 miles from camp, frozen solid with a mouthful of ice. He wasn't dehydrated, he just ran out of fuel to keep his heart beating. Melted. Use that tiny fire. Shh. Hear that? That's the sound of life returning. Drink it warm. Warm water isn't just hydration, it's an internal heat pack. And finally, Rank 7, the calorie engine. Crinkle, that's your last chocolate bar. Eat it. All of it. In this environment, your body needs 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day just to keep your organs from turning into slush. This isn't the time for your low-carb diet. You need fat, you need sugar, you need fuel. You've got a fire, you've got water, and you've got a belly full of cheap chocolate. You're starting to look like you might actually make it to sunrise. But don't close your eyes just yet. Serious tone. Darkness is falling, and in the Arctic, the night doesn't just get cold, it gets weird. Silence. Can you hear that? Of course you can't. That's the sound of the Arctic night, and it's a goddamn liar. Welcome to Rank 8, the hallucination. When your core temperature drops below 95 degrees, your brain starts to misfire. It's like a computer trying to run on a dying battery. You'll start seeing things: a warm house, your mother's kitchen, maybe a friendly face calling you from the blizzard. Gasp. Don't you dare move. Here's a logic bomb for you. Paradoxical undressing. It sounds like a bad punchline, but it's how the tundra claims its final trophies. Right before the end, your constricted blood vessels, the ones your body slammed shut to save your heart, suddenly fail and burst open. A rush of warm blood hits your skin, and your dying brain screams, "It's hot! I'm burning up!" I've seen search and rescue teams find bodies in the deep snow, stripped buck naked, folded into a fetal position. They weren't crazy. They were just victims of a biological glitch. If you suddenly feel like you're at a beach in Malibu, that's the cold inviting you to your own funeral. Stay in the trench. Keep your clothes on. Slap. Stay awake. Now, look. Squinting sound. Is that gray? No, it's light. You've reached rank 9, the morning light. You survive the night, but don't start your victory lap yet. Your boots are frozen solid to your feet. Crack. If you try to force them off, you're taking your skin with them. This is where you need to understand the afterdrop. If you suddenly jump into a hot shower or start rubbing your limbs like a maniac, you'll send that stagnant, ice-cold, acidic blood from your legs straight to your heart. Result? Heart failure. You survived a blizzard just to kill yourself with a warm bath. Brilliant. Thaw out slowly. Gentle heat. Logic, not emotion. Finally, whoomph, whoomph, whoomph. The sound of a helicopter. Rank 10, the extraction. You see that bird in the sky? They aren't looking for a person. They're looking for a contrast. In a world of white, you need to be anything else. If you have a signal mirror, use it. A simple 3x5-inch mirror can be seen for 40 miles on a clear day. It's a beam of light that says, "I'm still here, and I'm too stubborn to die." Flash, flash, the sound of a metallic ping. They see you. Exhale. You're going home. You've gone from an ego-driven amateur to a living, breathing entry in my survivor log. You'll have some scars, maybe a missing toe if you're unlucky, but you'll have a story that most people only see in their nightmares. Now, get in the chopper. You're making the upholstery smell like wet dog and chocolate. Stay smart, or at least stay alive.